How's everyone doing today? It's your boy JJ Domination, and I do want to clarify for this video, this is in no way trying to bash the Chicago Bears or the Oakland Raiders. This is basically a video where we're talking about a trade that happened a year and a half ago, and we're discussing, you know, how things have gone up to this point. So yes, by the time you watch this, either it'll be recently coming out, you know, on November 8th, 2019 or November 9th, 2019, whenever it goes up on YouTube. And yes, maybe you'll watch it late, maybe it pops up in your feed and you're like, oh, you were so wrong about this. Well, I just want to let you know the time that I'm recording it because, yeah, believe it or not, things are going to change over time. That's just how football works. 2 or 3 years from now, who knows? Maybe the trade goes in the other direction. Maybe it kind of stays the same based on the narratives and the things that we know. So we're going to go ahead and break down the infamous Khalil Mack trade. So I guess the best way to do this is to go ahead and start from Chicago's aspect, because Chicago is the team that ended up acquiring Khalil Mack, you know, who is a generational talent at the outside linebacker position, playing in a 3-4 defense. He was playing a little bit of 4-3 end. So, you know, the transition's really not that hard to make. And in Oakland, you know, he wasn't really winning anyway. And I believe when Chicago made the trade for him, they were like 6-10, 7-9 entering the next season. But anyway, let's just go ahead and talk about it. I don't want to get all the details out there. So from Chicago's aspect, they would be getting Khalil Mack, a 2020 second round pick. So, you know, of course, right now we don't know who that player is that they selected in the second round. We don't know if they traded the pick. And they get a conditional 2025th round pick. So they did get a couple of picks out of this, so Chicago did do good in that aspect. At least getting a second round pick, that is pretty key. And we're going to go ahead and talk about what this Khalil Mack trade has done for Chicago up to this point. So, of course, for Chicago, they went 12-4 the season they acquired Khalil Mack. They had the number 1 defense in the NFL. They were the number 1 rush defense, the number 1 scoring defense, the number 1 defense in takeaways. I mean, those are 3 important, or at least 2 of 3 very important stats. I mean, yeah, run defense is kind of hit or miss. Like, sometimes the difference between 1st and 10th place could be by like 8 yards, so it's really not that important. But yeah, being number 1 in scoring defense is definitely valuable to me, and being number 1 in takeaways just shows you that you are creating takeaways while also keeping your opponents off the scoreboard, which I think is a very valuable trait to have as a defense. A very underrated aspect of being a defense is being able to do both, not just one or the other. So Chicago was 12-4. They did lose in the wild card matchup to the Philadelphia Eagles. They were the 3 seed. They lost to the 6 seed at Philadelphia Eagles, 17-16. I don't think I need to talk about what happened at the end of the game. It's pretty much a given. I'm not going to shit on Cody Parkey for what happened, but let's just go ahead and move on, I guess, with the fact that we don't know what that 2020 second round pick is going to be. For Chicago, you know, it could be another offensive lineman, it could be a defensive lineman, it could be a corner, it could be a quarterback. Like, we just don't know, and I'm not going to speculate. So we will revisit this you know, next year around this time in 2020, because all the pieces will have fit into place by then. So we'll be able to kind of get a better understanding for the trajectory of all the pieces involved. So I just wanted to go ahead and do it now because it's been over a year, and I feel like we just need to revisit it. So that's it for Chicago's side. For Oakland's side, this is going to be a pretty lengthy one in terms of like explaining and getting all the pieces out, so just bear with me. I'm going to try my best. So Oakland gets a 2019 first round pick, which ended up turning into running back Josh Jacobs from Alabama. He was the 24th overall pick in the 2019 NFL draft. And for clarification on how good and how impactful Josh Jacobs has been, he is top 5, not amongst rookies, but amongst all NFL running backs in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. That is incredible. Let's just go ahead and keep it at that. And then they also get a 2020 first round pick, which, you know, we'll save all the juicy details for the end, but let's just say that Chicago pick might be decently high, depending on where they end up finishing. They also get a 2020 third-round pick, which could be a pretty solid draft pick. You know, nothing to sneeze at. Maybe they get a talented player in the third round that they like. And a 2019 sixth-round pick. And now this is the interesting part. That sixth-round pick is no longer a part of the team. So the player selected in the sixth round was a cornerback by the name of Bless Austin for short. And that draft pick was actually used in the Kalechi Osemele trade. So for more context on that, this sixth round pick, along with offensive lineman Kalechi Osemele, was used in a package to send to the New York Jets, for the 2025th round pick. Because if you remember correctly, I think a little bit after that, they did trade like a third and a fifth round pick for AB. So, yeah, if you're keeping score at home, the Jets have Kalechi Osemele and a sixth-round pick, which ended up being Bless Austin, who just got activated to the roster yesterday. So good for him. Maybe we'll get to see him play for the first time. That's pretty cool, actually. I hope he gets on the field in some capacity. Maybe special teams. But yeah, we have all the pieces updated. So let's just talk about how things have gone for both teams this year and the impact that all the moving pieces have had that we know of. So of course for the Chicago Bears, it's not really a Khalil Mack issue. It's just more of the Bears regressing like I thought they would. And of course at the end of the season, we'll be talking about 5 teams that I was right on, 5 teams that I was wrong on. Because, I like to revisit. I kind of like to remind myself, hey, you can't get everything right. You ain't shit. I kind of like to remind myself of that sometimes because, to be honest, like, if no one's going to hold you accountable, you got to hold yourself accountable when it comes to football. So, I can't wait to revisit the Chicago Bears, but that is one team I've been 100% right on. There was just way too many signs pointing at them regressing. If it wasn't the first place schedule for the NFC North team, it was definitely the fact that their offense was naturally just going to take a step back, and the fact that the defense was going to take a step back, and also they were a relatively healthy team. So they were a team that, was lucky enough not to have injury issues. And as we've seen, Kyle Long on the offensive line is out for the year, and Akeem Hicks on the defensive line is out for the year. And if you've heard me talk about twice, Akeem Hicks may be the most important defensive player on this team. Yes, they have Khalil Mack, who is amazing. Yes, they have Eddie Jackson, who was amazing last season. He's been, pretty good this year. I haven't really heard much of him this year or what he's doing. I know he gets a lot of tackles at the safety position, but that's about it. But the most important player to me is Akeem Hicks. To me, he's the glue of the defense. He kind of holds it all together. And I'm not just saying that to help some narrative or some argument. You can kind of tell the difference if you watch football, how much Akeem Hicks really means to this team. Let's see here. Chicago is, I think they're 3-5 entering the weekend. 3-4, 3-5, and if they lose to Detroit, they'll be 3-6, and that'll probably be the final nail in the non-playoff coffin of theirs. Because to me, they've already lost too many games, to really make a run. You have Minnesota, who only has 3 losses, Green Bay, who only has 2 losses, and you're sitting there at 5 losses, and you have a whole division like the NFC West where the worst team in that division has 5 losses, and they were one of the worst teams last year. As a matter of fact, they were the worst team last year, the Arizona Cardinals. So looking at the Bears right now, things are not looking good, and they're probably another loss away from their season just being over. And Khalil Mack hasn't been as impactful this year, but I can't necessarily put it all on him. It has just been an absolute train wreck on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, that Akeem Hicks injury really hurt that team. Now we're going to talk about the Oakland Raiders. This is the fun part for me as a Packer fan. So no, this is not me bashing the Bears. It's kind of fun, man, because to be honest, like, I thought Oakland would be flirting with mediocrity. Like, they'd be anywhere between 7-9, 9-7. Like, I actually did think that. I thought they would be an improved team, but some of the teams that they have beaten up to this point, I did not think was going to be a possibility. But let's just talk about Josh Jacobs first. He's probably going to be Rookie of the Year. Like, Kyler Murray to me has been playing well. Out of all the teams in the NFL, they turned the ball over the least. And I think that deserves some sort of recognition to the voters out there. But if Josh Jacobs wins it, I won't be mad at all, because they may or may not be a playoff team depending on how good they can scramble to get some wins later this year. And also, I mean, he's just been killing it in general. Like I said, top 5 in rushing yards and touchdowns. That is nothing to sneeze at, whether you're a rookie or a veteran in this league. And then you look at the rest of the draft class. I don't want to factor it in directly with this video or with the trade because it has nothing to do with it. But I will say that the rookie class overall has been performing stronger than I think some people thought. Not necessarily me, but stronger than some people would have imagined. And of course, Derek Carr's having a career year in terms of efficiency and that completion percentage. And they're winning games. You know, they're 5-4. They just beat the Los Angeles Chargers. So I'm 0-1 to start my weekend predictions. We're off to a fantastic start. But Oakland is just one of those teams that I feel like I have to root for just to do something good, because it's been a while since they've been good. And remember, the last time that they were a good team, Derek Carr got hurt late in the year. And who's to say they wouldn't have gone to an AFC championship if Derek Carr doesn't get hurt? You know, I'm not saying they would have, certainly, but I tell you what, the way he was playing that year, he probably could have, you know? And I'm not going to say he's been playing like an MVP this year. If anything, he's played like, you know, a good quarterback. You know, I can't say he's been like the MVP of the league, but he's been playing good. I'll definitely say that. Deserves a lot more credit, at least. But now let's take a look at the records, right? The Oakland Raiders, like we said, are 5-4 as of recording this. The Chicago Bears are 3-5. Also, another thing to keep intact is that the Oakland Raiders defeated the Chicago Bears in London. Now, we know it's in London, and a lot of weird things happen in London, but I'm not going to use that as an excuse for the Chicago Bears, because they got the ball absolutely ran down their throat. And to be honest, like, Oakland just deserved to win that game. So yeah, basically this is where we're at with the Khalil Mack trade. Just a year later, the Bears not looking like that good of a team like they were last season. And this year, Oakland potentially could be a wild card team. Like this, it's so crazy. The NFL is so crazy. I love it because they just beat the Los Angeles Chargers. Green Bay got embarrassed by the Los Angeles Chargers, only for Oakland to turn around 4 days later, 5 days later, and beat them. And what was a very fun game to watch. And it feels like Oakland games now are must watch, and I haven't felt that way about Oakland in a long time. So it's a good feeling to have about Oakland, because I do have some family members that like Oakland, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. But hopefully you guys enjoyed, man. And you know, let me hear your thoughts down below about Oakland. Have they exceeded your personal expectations, or are you just going to lie and say that you expected to see this happen? Let me know how you feel down in the comment section below. And you know what we say around here at the end of the videos. Peace out.